Tonight on NewsVision, a controversial figure visits campus leading to uproar. We will tell you who it was and what happened.
We've been murdered in West Bay.
Plus, a place popular with UM students is shutting down.
So the purpose of the mall right now is to kind of close off all the leases.
And later on, one of the most popular parking lots at the University of Miami had a much-needed facelift.
Parking just to get in the spot is like a chore because the lanes are so skinny.
These stories and a lot more on tonight's episode of NewsVision. It starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to this semester's first edition of NewsVision. I'm Ben Freeman.
And I'm Gracie Palmer. Thank you for joining us. Last night, a controversial figure visited campus to discuss the ongoing war in the Middle East. However, not everyone was pleased. Last night, a UM organization called Students Supporting Israel made history with the most students attending their latest event. More than 160 students gathered at the Donna Shalala Center to see and hear a conversation in support of Israel, with a panel that included world-renowned lawyer and former Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz.
This is not about Palestinians. This is about Jews. And it's only about the perpetrators. And we have to change that narrative, and we have to change that direction, and we have to alert the world to the double standard and the hypocrisy that is applied to Jews when they defend themselves.
But despite a warning from the panel's moderator,
please do not interrupt the panelists at any time while they are speaking. If this occurs, you will be escorted out.
this did not stop some students who are members of the organization called Canes Supporting Palestine from voicing their opinion.
Kids who have been murdered in West Bay.
I'm happy to answer any question. I'm happy to answer any.
She was escorted out by UMPD, who had a heavy presence during the event. Other students were also upset that UM had invited Dershowitz, who is known for his role representing O.J. Simpson and Jeffrey Epstein, and he recently made headlines as his name was included on the list of visitors to Epstein's private island. The Miami Hurricane newspaper had initially reported that Dershowitz was a frequent visitor to the island, a claim they have since retracted. Dershowitz promptly released a statement that reads, quote, "The accusation against me has been resolved in my favor. The truth is that I did absolutely nothing wrong, and the only reason the false accusation is being raised again is Canes for Palestine, according to the Miami Hurricane, have started a widespread media campaign against his, quote, presence on campus." If you missed the talk last night, you can still catch Alan Dershowitz in person. He will be attending the U.S. premiere of the documentary called The Trials of Alana Dershowitz at the Boca International Jewish Film Festival on February 17th.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has toured the Middle East this week for the 5th time since the start of the Israel-Hamas war last October, this time in hopes of mediating a hostage release. Blinken met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said the war in the Middle East would continue until Israel is triumphant. The Israeli Prime Minister turned down Hamas's proposed ceasefire plan that would unfold over 4.5 months. In this plan, Hamas agreed to release the roughly 100 Israeli hostages if Israel agrees to free hundreds of Palestinians imprisoned in Israel. Blinken argues in favor of Israel accepting the proposed ceasefire and still holds out hope for the deal. Blinken is strongly advocating for a ceasefire after the death toll of U.S. citizens in the Israel-Hamas war has reached 22, with 17 more U.S. citizens in the Middle East still missing.
King Charles III of England has been diagnosed with cancer. Buckingham Palace broke the news after Charles underwent a prostate procedure over a week ago. The type of cancer has not been specified, but it was revealed to not be prostate cancer. The diagnosis came as a shock to the world and put a spotlight on Prince William, who is next in line of succession for the English crown. William and other senior royals will take on some of Charles' engagements as he undergoes cancer treatment.
At least 9 people have been confirmed dead after 4 days of heavy rain in Southern California. The rain came from an atmospheric river storm, leading to deadly mudslides and flooding.
This was the second highest consecutive 3-day total of rainfall since 1877. Student meteorologist Quinn Davidson is at the weather studio with more details. Quinn?
Yeah, Gracie, it was quite the super soaker across Southern California. In fact, UCLA recorded 12.46 inches of rain in a 24-hour period on February 5th, which absolutely shatters the record of 6.3 back in 1991, essentially doubling that. And in fact, it is very interesting to note that this is meeting the criteria of a 1 in 1,000 year flood event, surpassing that threshold by 1.1 inches. So definitely quite a drastic situation that unfolded across Southern California. Let's take a look. Here's our radar recap of what occurred in Southern California. An atmospheric river is basically a hose of moisture being funneled directly into the state, which is why you can see areas depicted in green and darker colors as red and orange, which are thunderstorms and heavier rain that basically stalled over Southern California, flooding areas like Santa Barbara, Ventura counties, Los Angeles counties, pushing down further even into the south in Orange counties and San Diego counties, where there were tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. A very serious situation that unfolded there.
Thanks, Quinn. We'll check in with you again later. For 25 years, the shops at Sunset Place have stood strong in South Miami. But since the COVID-19 pandemic, the mall has struggled to bring in customers. Now, the city plans to tear down the shopping center. Andrew Klein is live at the shops at Sunset Place with more. Andrew, what is going on with Sunset Place?
Sunset Place has certainly died down in the last few years, but when the current city commission took office in 2022, they took initiative, and now they hope to revitalize this historic location. When you drive down South Dixie Highway, there are endless restaurants and stores that have thrived in Miami-Dade County, but one location has struggled more than others.
So the purpose of the mall right now is to kind of close off all the leases. There's condos there as well. I think there's like 37 or 41 little condos. Those have all been acquired. So the idea is to get everybody out so we can go ahead and demo it.
The shops at Sunset Place has been around since 1999 and used to be a popular attraction, especially for UM students.
Back in those days, there were bars, but there was also Barnes & Nobles. There was, cool retail stores, whether it's Gap, Banana Republic, and so on. Over the years, those have gone away, and so there's no real reason to go there. So that's why the students don't go out there.
The location has a rich history, hosting the Riviera Theater from 1925 to 1926. In 1934, the Wholesome Bread Company took its place, standing strong for nearly 50 years. In 1986, a mall called the Bakery Center opened up. But after 10 years, it too was forced to close its doors.
The Sunset Place Mall here in South Miami was once a hustling and bustling environment filled with students and local residents. But as you can see, it's become a ghost town.
There's no foot traffic in there. There's no people that live around there. There's no condos. There's no hotels. So that location is a destination, and there's no reason to go there right now.
I've noticed stores have opened for a bit, but after 6 months or a year after the first lease expires, they move because there's not enough business.
In the coming months, the mall will be torn down, and the city of South Miami has big plans for the location.
We envision in the city of South Miami something very different, generational changes. So you'll see a little bit of height, a little more density in the area where the students can live there. There'll be a cool mall, there'll be a hotel. I think that the residents will love the ability to have different options for restaurants, for food, walkability. It would be nicer to hang out, not have to go to Merritt or anything like that.
So what's to come of this historic South Miami location? Well, Commissioner Kaye told me that English designer Thomas Heatherwick, who worked on the Vessel in New York City, among other projects, is set to design a new city center in a process that will take up to 2 years. Reporting live in South Miami, Andrew Klein, UMTV.
Thanks, Andrew. Time for a quick break, but when we return, an illegal parking lot on campus that's been causing headaches and collisions for many years has a new facelift. We'll have details after the break.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is me? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, backpack kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
On Wednesday, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson commented on the embarrassing moments on the floor of the House a day earlier. The vote to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas failed after defections from within Johnson's own party.
We have a duty and a responsibility to take care of this issue. We have to hold the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security accountable. Mayorkas needs to be held accountable. The Biden administration needs to be held accountable, and we will pass those articles of impeachment. We'll do it on the next round.
Johnson was also unable to pass a standalone bill with billions of dollars in aid for Israel, and his Wednesday comments came as Senate Republicans were poised to kill the most conservative border security bill they've had in decades. It contains the kind of tough-on immigration provisions they themselves have been calling for, but Republicans have come out against it ever since Donald Trump slammed the measure.
A federal appeals court has officially denied former President Trump immunity from prosecution in the case of alleged crimes he committed to overturn the 2020 election. This decision is a major blow to Trump's key defense in the federal election case brought forward by special counsel. Trump has pled not guilty to 4 counts, including conspiring to defraud the United States. Despite this, many of his supporters remain loyal.
For years, the parking lot by the School of Communication here at UM has been a place of frustration for many students, faculty, and staff members. However, over winter break, the university finally took action. Lead reporter Billy Brightman is live from this parking lot right now. Billy, tell us what has happened.
Gracie, I'm standing in one of the most crowded parking lots on campus between 2 cars with plenty of room to move around and plenty of room for this umbrella. Now, while this may be expected in a parking lot in the red lot at the University of Miami, this would have been considered a luxury for a long time. The red parking lot at the University of Miami has been a problem for decades.
I definitely felt like there was not a lot of space to park.
I'd find a spot, I wouldn't be able to get in, so I'd have to take a couple more laps until I found a bigger spot.
Besides the very tight parking spots, huge demand for parking, and a long waiting list, almost everyone who has ever parked in this lot has suffered damage to their cars.
My friend came back from class and there was a note on her car that said, "Hey, I'm so sorry I hit your car. Here's my number."
And this has been a problem for so long that students some 20 years ago discussed the same issues in the same way.
Parking just to get in the spot is like a chore because the lanes are so skinny.
And students were right to complain. According to the City of Coral Gables zoning code, 90-degree parking spaces should be 8.5 feet wide. The red lot spaces were only 7 feet wide.
I wish that they would almost repave the parking lots and redo the lines to accommodate these larger cars that we have.
Slow roll to 2 decades later, and that wish has now become a reality. Students left for break after the fall 2023 semester and returned to wider, law-abiding spaces and smoother roadways. Parking spaces also have double lines rather than the single lines they used to have. And now my car can glide easily into a spot. And I can safely leave my car knowing the chances of it getting hit are a lot slimmer.
Now that there's bigger spots, it's a lot easier to park, which means a lot better. It still gets really packed and crowded, but it's manageable now.
Both UM's Parking and Transportation Department and Parking for the City of Coral Gables have not responded to our request for comment. However, in an email to students in December, Parking and Transportation for UM said the project was meant to enhance the experience and effectiveness of the red parking lots. They also said, this project will ensure standardized parking space widths, allowing for increased parking efficiency. Now, while this is a positive change, some students still think the spaces are too short. One of the complaints about the red lot was that there weren't enough spaces, and now there are even fewer. But for those students who can find a parking space, they can safely park their car and head off to learn and not have to worry about it at all. Live from the Red Lot, Billy Brightman, UMTV.
Thanks, Billy. Speaking of the red lot, my walks to class have been freezing lately. Well, freezing for Miami, but.
I know. For a second there, I thought I needed my winter coat. It was so cold.
It's crazy.
But student meteorologist Quinn Davidson is back with our local forecast. Quinn, please tell me it's going to warm up this weekend.
It will warm up, and I will say it was quite cold heading to class earlier in the week. We were waking up in the 50s here across South Florida, but that is no longer the case as temperatures are on the uprise. Right now, taking a look at our active radar, we do have a few scattered showers. These are mostly falling as drizzle and very, very light rain, so little to no accumulation is expected, but these are coming in off the coast and creating just an inconvenience. We have a rip current statement that is in effect for our beaches through Sunday, February 11th at 7 a.m., and this is very important if you are heading to the beach. As the weather does get nicer, be sure to keep instructions in the back of your head for what lifeguards are saying and follow any flags that might be useful for you when you head out to the water. Speaking of the water, surf's up South Florida. We have waves that are reaching 2 to 3 feet. Not too big for us here in South Florida, but hey, we are used to that flat, gross, no surfable waves. But now we have a few waves with higher sets that are possible. So if you are ready to head out and hit the surf, go for it. And looking at this high pressure system that is situated over the Carolinas, this is eventually going to move a little off the coast. It's just going to head over into the Atlantic a bit as it strengthens, creating stronger winds that are coming onshore in the east. And as this high pressure system moves a little more off, we're going to have winds veering in from the south, creating warmer conditions for us here across South Florida. We'll be seeing 80s soon, eventually enough. And for our Super Bowl forecast, the San Francisco 49ers and the Chiefs are playing. And what is the forecast in Vegas looking like? 74 degrees. Cannot complain. And I'm there for Taylor Swift. Back to you.
One Fresh Film Festival was hosted right here on campus, and it brought not only new inspiration for upcoming leaders in the film industry, but an important lesson for students everywhere. Daryl Creary had a chance to attend the event.
It was lights, camera, and all action at the Cosford Theater on the University of Miami campus last weekend. Dozens of people attended the second annual International Short Film in jam-packed blocks of compelling short films, judged by some of Hollywood's leading people. The festival was organized by UM's Department of Cinematic Arts and managed by film faculty. Judges ran films that were 20 minutes long or less for 2 hours of back-to-back screening over the course of the 3-day period. By the end of each night, films fought for 5 categories ranked on their style and narration. The festival's top pick, Strange, took the night by storm, claiming the top prize of $2,000 and bringing important conversations of Japan's treatment of the LGBTQ community to the front lines.
But I still think that there's a lot of way to go, and I think movies like this should, be shared and I guess just it's almost like throwing a stone, and then become a ripple effect to become bigger and bigger.
Strange was one of many films that highlighted important issues across communities, other popular selections focusing on divorce, prejudice, and immigration.
If they're making something that they are passionate about, their creativity is going to come more naturally, and their work, it will reflect when people see them, and they will be able to move forward and create better films, so they're doing something that they're really passionate about.
Famed director David Franco was one of many figures that led in the night's decisions, and he's keeping an eye out for new filmmakers to keep the art form alive.
Be inventive. These films were all very different. And they all stood out because they were unique. And I think it's important not to copy, to try and do the most original work you can do.
Dean Wilkins ended the night congratulating the winners. By the end of the festival, she encouraged the UM community to take to the stage in full force, hoping for students here to take storytelling in their own hands.
I think that it's important for people to try to be provocative with their subject matter and to think about the quality but also the significance. The stories that we're telling matter.
For UMTV, I'm Darrell Creary.
One Florida resident has undergone a life-changing transformation and is now teaching others to do the same. I had the opportunity to talk to her recently. Kristen Smith's day begins before most people wake up. At 6:30 a.m. on most days, she is already coaching a workout class called Miami Beach Fit Camp. And it is just one of the ways that Smith promotes working out and living a healthy life. She is also a personal trainer, a nutritionist, and a podcast host. Her goal? To promote self-love.
You don't have to stay stuck, and it's truly possible right now in this moment to change everything. And it's worth it. You're worth fighting for, you're worth investing in, and you're worth doing one little thing, one little thing, one little thing over and over again.
But Smith wasn't always so committed to changing people's lives. In fact, 2 decades ago, her life looked completely different, and she faced a far greater challenge than an early morning workout.
My history with fitness and health and wellness really started because I was morbidly obese when I was younger. And so I found myself at 400 pounds at a very young age and very stuck.
What got Kristen unstuck was, surprisingly, a kind word from a friend.
You know, I started my weight loss journey because I had a friend who paid me a compliment. She just happened to say something really nice to me one day that stopped me in my tracks because I was obese and I felt terrible in my skin and I felt terrible about myself. And that made me all of a sudden think that maybe I had a little more value than I thought. Maybe people saw me and didn't just think that I was terrible the way that I thought I was terrible.
That seemingly small compliment lit a fire within Smith, who joined CrossFit, lost over 200 pounds, and found a love for community exercise. During COVID, she took to social media to gather people to go outside and work out with plans that she wrote. And when she moved to Miami, she did the same thing. That idea eventually turned into Miami Beach Fit Camp.
And so the first thing I have to say to anyone who's struggling in a weight issue and feeling stuck in their body is you can never hate yourself into a better body or a better life. To find a little bit of love for yourself, enough compassion to do one thing that's going to move you forward, one thing that's going to feel good, one thing that you know is good for you, and start building momentum with that compassion and self-love.
Ben Freeman, UMTV. Kristen hosts these workouts every day in Miami Beach. If you're interested in attending, you can find her at miamibeachfitcamp.com.
Coming up on sports, Canes basketball made history against Virginia, but not for the right reasons. I will have the details after a short break.
I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire. How to control the flames. What to do with hot coals. How to secure your chains. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hello and welcome to sports. I'm Zach Macer. When Miami men's basketball played against the Virginia Cavaliers last season, Hurricanes fans were excited that they had beaten the number 6 team in the country. But when they faced off for the first time this season on Monday night, fans felt the exact opposite of that excitement. Let me tell you exactly what happened in Charlottesville. Miami trying to make it 2 straight. They beat Virginia Tech over the weekend. Check out this pass from Bentley Joseph. Bounce and Matthew Cleveland up and under there. The Hurricanes started the game with a 7-2 run, but then it was all Virginia after that. Check out this dunk from Ryan Dunn. Boom shakalaka. Right easy into the paint. Miami could not do anything defensively. Second half, Virginia locks down defensively. That's Ryan Dunn on the block again. And then as time trickled down, crossover from Elijah Guthrie, soars through the lane and scores up and under. He took off from almost the free throw line, got the ball. Look at that. Absolutely amazing play from him. And as time winds down, Miami loses to Virginia 60-38. That's right, 38. The performance was historically bad on the offensive side of the ball for the Hurricanes, and one we hope to never see again. The point tally of this team is the team's lowest scoring output since reinstating the program in 1985. They played on a ballroom stage that season. The 38 points they scored is 41 points below their 2023-24 season average. The performance made by Miami coach Jim Larinaga was extremely disappointed in his team's effort. He only answered one question after the game and said, quote, "They outplayed us in every aspect of the game. We didn't play well, they played really well," unquote. Hurricanes point guard Nigel Pack had never had a game where he missed all of his shots from the field until Monday night. He went 0 for 8 on the night and ended up with just 2 points, both coming from the free throw line. I'm not sure what Jim Larinaga will say to motivate his team before playing the ranked third best team in the country, UNC, on Saturday, but I do know that's all the time I have. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Zach. It's time for another quick break, but when we come back, we'll show you the latest Super Bowl prediction from an unlikely furry friend. Don't go anywhere. The biggest bouncy house in the world made its way to Miami this past month, and I got the chance to bounce around. If you thought you were too old for bouncy houses, think again, because the biggest bouncy house on the planet is open for adults, and it's currently on its 2024 North American tour. I'm currently at Big Bounce America, and I'm standing here in the largest bouncy house in the world, which is about 24,000 square feet, the size of 1.5 hockey rinks. The event features 8 massive inflatable attractions, including a foam party Octoblast, a sports slam sports arena, and a 900-foot obstacle course.
So the inflatable behind us is brand new. Our world's biggest castle got bigger this year. So it used to be 16,000 square feet, and now we're pushing over 23,000 square feet.
The attraction includes family sessions and an afternoon adults-only session that includes live DJs, competitions, and all the Ninja Warrior training you could need. But despite all the fun the adults are having, this attraction is mostly for kids.
I love when I get here and you see all the kids walking in and they see the world's biggest bounce house and their face kind of just like drops in awe because we have confetti going off, we have DJs inside doing prizes, we have bubbles, and every kid just walks in with like the biggest smile and like speechless by just how big it is.
If you're looking for some fun or just want to bounce back into shape, this is definitely the place for you.
The tour is now in West Palm Beach, where it opens on February 10th and will be there until February 18th. After that, it will be making its way to Texas, Arizona, and California, with tickets starting at $35.
With the Super Bowl only a few days away, sports fans all across the country are betting on who is going to win. But it's not only humans who are making game day predictions. Arthur and Fisher are 2 4-year-old otters at the Texas State Aquarium. They were given 2 ice cakes, one for the Chiefs and one for the 49ers. And good news for you Chiefs fans out there, as both otters predicted that the Chiefs will keep their championship title. We'll have to wait until Sunday to see if they were right.
On Wellbeing Wednesday at the Herbert School of Business, students got their chance to pause and rest for the week. The organization called Heel to Heal is making a positive mark on South Florida. It aims to help individuals de-stress through therapy dogs. Heel to Heal noticed a lack of community for therapy dog volunteers, so they created a space for them to feel united with each other. The University of Miami wanted to bring this culture to their students in a fun way.
Our students love it. They really feel like it brings them joy. I had one student reach out to me recently and say that she had just gotten out of a competition at her class, and so this was kind of bringing down her anxieties, really having her relax and enjoy some little 4-legged friend.
Awesome.
Wellbeing Wednesdays with Heel to Heal is hosted once every semester, so mark your calendars so you too can be a part of the pack.
That looks so great. I wish I could have gone.
I know, I wanted to pet all those little puppies. That looks so cute. But that's all the time we have for today's program. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll be back next Thursday at 7. Have a great night, Hurricanes.